Hey, it's James, Fathers Rights and Resources, hashtag HowiGotCustody. Just want to let you know, I was just thinking how the way I do stuff legally and create a paper trail, I do that in every area of life. Or, I guess this is still legal, but, when I'm talking to a my kid's school, or if I'm dealing with somebody who needs to talk to a school, the way I write letters, demand stuff. I have a packet of demand letters in my store, the way those are written, and the way I create a paper trail. I do all that kind of stuff in life, in general. Helped my mother. She got one of those photo tickets, and this one's kind of bullcrap because it was a school zone and it says, flashing lights. So here's what I did to help her out. She got a photo ticket. What they do is you can go online and there's an actual video of the incident. They said that she was going 9 miles over 29 in a 20-mile-an-hour school speed zone. So I went and looked at the video, and I don't see any lights flashing. I remember offhand those lights flash. And my daughter used to go to school over that way where my mom got the ticket. We live in the same town and stuff. So what I did was I went by where she got the ticket, took pictures of the signs that say photo enforced, speed limit 20 miles an hour when flashing. That's what it says on the signs. So when I watched the video, I didn't see any lights flashing. Now, it could have been those signs were out of the picture, but I didn't see flashing lights anywhere. And it says, this is why when you get stuff or a legal document, whatever, you should read it. I read the whole thing, and it said that the city has the burden to prove that she did that if she contests it. And she doesn't remember seeing flashing lights, and she drives that way all the time. And so she's noticed when there was flashing lights. And, my mother's older and she's got some issues. So, she might be forgetful about that particular day because it's like a month ago. She got the ticket like a couple weeks in the mail, didn't tell me about it till later. So when we were talking about it, and she's like, can you help me? So I took pictures of the sign. I worked with her to write up a response to say, I didn't do this. The signs say when flashing. I didn't see any flashing lights. So even if that was the time the kids got out, the contract or the notice or the expectation with the public is that you slow down when there's flashing lights. I didn't see any flashing lights. And she's probably going to get out of the ticket. I think it's because it's a school zone, it's kind of high. I think it was like $290 or something. It was kind of up there. Oh, I still got this stuff here. But $243. And then if she's late, then there's fees on top of that or whatever. So, for usually those photo enforcement, if you go through a light, I think it's like $70 or $60 or something like that at first. But in the kids' school zone, obviously they take that seriously. So we're supposed to mail that in. So there's a mail-in place if you want to pay. It's so confusing because they give you two different addresses, and they give you an address if you want to have a contested hearing by Zoom, in person, on the phone, by mail. There's like a few different options. Or if you want to mitigate it and tell them you admit to it and you want to mitigate it or mediate it and tell them your particular circumstances. And, I told her it looks like you got a case to get this thing thrown out. And so she decided to do that. So even though we're supposed to mail it in to another city where they process the mitigation. See, just so you know, these things are totally unconstitutional because nobody witnessed you commit an infraction or a crime. There's somebody who accuses you automatically through a computer, and then somebody signs off on it. What did the guy sign off on it? The guy who signed off on it is from like Ohio or something. A lot of the ones we get up here, somebody in Arizona signs off on it. So what they do, and I had a guy who went deep on this, had a client, And he got those camera things removed from his city, because what the city did was they signed a contract with the people who did the photo enforcement, and they're from another state, and they put in cameras and installed the system that made the lights rotate faster. So everybody is used to the lights sitting there for a while, or everybody gets impatient, so they're more likely to run through the light when it cuts off sooner. So he made a complaint that they were endangering the public, and then they're turning around and profiting after they endanger them, because they're rushing the rotation and they're making it faster. So those things are unconstitutional because there's no witnesses and you can't confront the witnesses. And actually, I had a hearing that I went to challenge, and I went into court. I got my thing dismissed, but somebody before me, the judge is sitting up there, and he said, take a look at the TV. Now, is that you in the car? And the judge is asking him, yeah, that's me. And he said, do you see the light when the light turns and this and that? It looks like you're kind of going through. And the judge is kind of leading him. And the judge is actually testifying, which violates the rules of the rules of evidence. Judges can't testify. So the judge is saying it looks like you're going through there. There's nobody presenting evidence. There's no prosecutor against him. There's no accuser. There's no witness. The judge is analyzing footage later. It's totally, obviously it's a money-making scheme, but they threw out all the due process, and nobody challenges that kind of stuff. You know, I went in and challenged my particular ticket. Nobody knows to challenge the whole thing. You know, if I wasn't caught up in all this stuff with family court and stuff, I'd probably go in and probably challenge the whole system in my city and make a stink about it. But I got too much stuff on my plate to even go there. I just challenge the tickets that I get. But another point I wanted to make is just creating a paper trail, because my mother is supposed to mail this thing off. Like, I live in the Tacoma area. It's 30 miles from Seattle, okay? And the incident happened near Tacoma, but we mail in the challenge in Seattle. And if we want to pay, then we just pay the Tacoma area court. So,
hey, James.
So they got a couple different addresses. So what I did, today was the deadline. So she was kind of late. She told me late. I got around to it finally. So we're mailing it off. We're okay mailing it off today, but she's supposed to have it mailed off today. Today is the deadline. But I still went into the city court and I dropped off a copy of her challenge. I made a few different copies of it. I dropped off a copy of her challenge at the courthouse, and you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to mail it in, the challenges in, to the Seattle area office, which is 30 miles away or whatever. I went in, I said, hey, dropping this off. I know we're supposed to mail it in, but the deadline's today. I want to I just want to put this in for whatever records that you have. And the lady actually was gracious and took it. I did that one other time, and I think they're like, well, you're not supposed to leave it here. Say, well, if you want to, you could just throw it away. I don't care, but I want to drop it off here. And then I have them do a received stamp of my mom's statement and her signature page to show that they received it. So if they try and say, oh, we got your mailing late, it's too late, I show that I delivered it to City Hall where they have the tickets and the stuff is in. So I'm thinking I want to create a paper trail of wherever I mail it off to, you know, and the mailing, I did priority mail so it can be tracked as to when it gets there. And I took a picture of the priority mail and we put it in the mail, and the mail actually, and the tracking number. So that way I got a total record. So when you're thinking, and I was just thinking I should probably share this, but when you're doing this kind of stuff, or when you're doing court stuff or whatever, you got to think, I got to prove to somebody later everything that I'm doing. And so I wanted to prove that that got mailed off. I got all the paper trail for the mail. But I also wanted to do an extra step to give it to the city, because the city's the one who did it against her, and create a paper trail. And then I got my own copy with the received stamp for it. So you always want to cover your bases and cover a trail in